Hey, you want to talk Mets? How about that?
I'd love to talk
New York
Mets
are only a game and a half after the surge by the Nationals and waiting for them to take over and be the best team in baseball. And, of course, the Mets struggled on the road, but then they came home, as Jim Brewer pointed out at the top. Yeah, 20-6 at Citi Field, 7-15 on the road. But the Mets rotation, let's talk about that. Do you think the Mets rotation is at least the rival of the Nationals right now?
Well, remember this. They beat Scherzer twice. So when they're on, I think hands down, this is the future of the National League East. I like what the Nationals have, but if you put some bats, real good, smart at bats, I love what Duda's doing. Murphy's a great hitter, but to me, that's your two. There's your two hitters in the Mets.
Right.
Outside of that, it's like, oh, I got a lollipop. This is exciting. So if you start putting a lineup behind those pitchers, to me, that's an unstoppable staff.
I'm anxious to see when they go to the six-man rotation, how they're going to buy into it. I know Dan Warthen had to convince him, and Terry Collins had to convince him, because when you have six guys, and I understand the philosophy, you're shaving innings off, but there's going to be some pitchers and some pitchers' agents that are going to say, we want them going every fifth day, because if they don't win, they aren't going to make any money when it goes to arbitration. I know you don't like to hear it, but that's what happened in Colorado a year ago.
Agents and everything else. No, but even you're fifth and sixth, you could tandem start them, you could do a lot of things. I don't know, it's a good problem to have.
Well, how aggravating what you just brought up, Tim. As an outsider, to me, it's a game. You just brought up business. The fact that business, we have to worry about, well, if my guy doesn't pitch every 6 games, how am I going to get
You're
winning?
in that manager's office, and you're in those coaches' office, you're dealing with it.
Wow.
Your winner's bracket is your top 5, and if it's 5 and 6, well, those guys have to stretch out. And you want to limit Harvey a little bit, don't you?
I think that's the goal. You know, I'm not sure this is the right thing. I wouldn't do it to listen to the agent, and that is a big issue with teams. There's no question about it. The agents do talk a lot and do make suggestions or recommendations. But, you know, if they think this is the right thing to do to help Harvey, I understand it. And they do have 6 viable starters, and Steven Matz is performing in Las Vegas. He may be as good as Syndergaard, lefty version. So they get a lot of pitchers, and this is one way to deal with it.
What about pitching feel? What about going when you were there?
See, that's why I'm afraid to go to John Smoltz.
You're talking
I know
about
where you're going. 6-man rotation. You want to limit the innings on these guys.
You can do the touch and feel.
Let me just say this. Let me just say this.
I want to hear
If the Mets aren't competing, got no problem with a 6-man rotation.
Exactly.
But they're competing, and they're going to be in the mix, and you're going to lose feel, and you're going to have a rain out, and who do you skip? I think the 6-man sounds good in the interim. It can't last and go to the playoffs. There's just no way to have that money.
But just pull back on Harvey a little bit, right?
Is that what it's about? Or, I mean, do you think also maybe they're looking at who is capable pitcher right now, and maybe there's a little trade talk, and we're seeing who's maybe a little bit of trade bait?
Yeah, but you're sacrificing something if you're trying to compete. If they say, hey, we don't got the bullets to get through this, get to the postseason or chase down the Nationals, that's one thing. But I think there's other ways to shave innings. We saw it with Strasburg.
Oh, yeah.
We know it can happen. It's just up to the management and what they're trying to do. They got a plan. The Mets have a plan.
But we saw it handled poorly by Strasburg and the Nationals.
Point.
Isn't this a little smarter, getting ahead of it?
But you can do it in the games that. Look, there's no need for a guy to go 8 when you're up 6. I mean, if they blow the game, they blow the game. But you can front end the All-Star break and back end the All-Star break. You can built in innings there. This is not a typical Tommy John recovery. This is 18 months. This is not 12. This guy's so far ahead, and I'm telling you, he knows his body. He'll come to the management and say, but you're messing with the great bullets that you have and waiting, like you're not getting as much of them. And I think there's other ways to do it. The other thing that nobody talks about, what about the bullpen? They're going to kill the bullpen. In a 6-man rotation, they're going to kill the bullpen because now you need the bullpen more, and you don't go 7, 8 innings and 9 innings.
And you got a 4-man bench now. So are you winning, trying to play tonight and win? I mean, you win with bench and bullpen. You win championships with bench and bullpen.
By the way, it's coming. The 6-man rotation is coming. This is not the first or the last. You're going to start seeing. I said this 3 years ago.
Yes, I know.
I think they look at it as we have a very deep set of starters, and we're actually going to get more innings out of the starters and fewer innings out of the bullpen. I think that's the way they're looking at it. They don't trust their bullpen. I don't think they want their bullpen exposed. They trust Familia in inning 9, but you have to get through 7, 8, and whatever. maybe they think that they'll get more innings out of the starters. If you have 6 starters instead of 5, they'll keep them in the game longer, maybe.
And by the way, you guys have a good 6. I mean, this is a good problem to have. To be discussing
I'm
this.
happy with
Great
this
shape.
6.
And they got young ones coming.